Hello, JF family. Welcome back to your favorite podcast, JF. Today I'm with the amazing, I won't say her name, I'll just say Jeannie. She'll explain the
Okay, but Ginny is my name.
rest. Welcome to the podcast.
Oh, let me do it like you. Welcome to the podcast. Okay. Hi, everybody.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have Giniwe Fagote in the house. Thank you for joining us. So, you, in my view, my opinion, I'd say you are very much an influencer in the country. I'd say abroad again. But I'd just like you to, I'd say briefly just unpack who Giniwe is, before we get into the deep stuff. Just who is Giniwe?
Uh-huh.
Yep.
Okay. Briefly, how I'd like to describe myself is that I'm truly a brand that has been growing and developing for the past 41 years. I fully subscribe to the school of thought that says all of us individually are brands. So where you find my brand, whether it's in Eswatini Mobile or it's at Matapa Town Council or Stegi Town Council, those are the journey of what the brand will go through. But I genuinely believe that Giniwe is a hardworking woman. I'm driven. I believe there's nothing I can't do that I put my mind on. For as long as I could learn how to read and write in primary school and preschool actually, I believe I can learn anything now, which is primarily why I would leave local government and try and learn about the telecoms industry. And I'm learning, and I think I've got it now. So I think, in summary, that's who I am. I'm a dynamite of a woman, and I know that I am. And I'm a brand. That's more important to me than anything else.
Oh, wow. Well, with that said, I have just a couple of guidelines I'd like us to look at as far as motivating.
Okay.
I won't say women, but I'll just say everybody because you cannot really say motivation is specifically for
Absolutely.
this gender.
Okay.
So, you are a leader. You've been a leader. From which age?
From 23. So
Where was that?
that was in Stegi when I assumed that post as the CEO. But before that, I was at Channel Swazi working as the news editor when I came back from varsity. But at 23, that's when I started in Stegi. And it's been a journey.
23.
Yes,
And you had people older than that.
way older.
How was that?
It was very hard, and I think one of the lessons I walked away with in Stegi, and luckily for me, I got a bit of that lesson in Channel Swazi, was that people will generally follow you if they believe that you can get them there. Many times I get asked, how was it as a young person? How was it as a woman? I always say, how was it as a human being, full stop? Because I do not think the challenge would be more different if it was a guy. But I suppose as me, I had to do more to prove it. But the day David killed Goliath, I think nobody would stop and ask him that, could you do it? So I always say to young leaders or anybody starting a new job, you've got to quickly find the Goliath you've got to kill, the one that will make everybody stop and say, okay, this person can deliver. So when I got to Stegi, and I never judged anybody. They had doubts. I would go to community meetings and I would literally see that they are shocked at what the mayor and councillors had done it to them. They would literally think, this child, what is she going to do? And I don't blame people because even brands need to be trusted. If you buy Coke for the first time and people have told you about it, you still need to burp for yourself for you to say, no, this Coke refreshes. So I never blamed people, and I never really wanted to bring it to that common denominator that people always ask me about. As a woman, I really didn't want to get there. I just had a position. I was a young woman. I was a candidate that had found the job and got the job. I had the qualifications for it. I could deliver. Yes, I had a lot to learn, but I quickly had to find the Goliath I needed to kill for everybody to stop and think, okay, there's a muscle there. So that's what I always say to people, because you can spend years trying to prove to people that you can, but you find your first Goliath, you kill that one. No one will ever ask who you are. Everybody will say, that's the David that killed that. Anybody, oh, that's the one. So that's what really Sitegi was all about. So much so that when I then got to Matapa, it was very simple. My Goliath was Stegi. So I really did not have to sort of explain to them my prowess and my abilities. It was known, hindsight. So then the rest was then delivering and proving it to people. So, yeah.
Wow. Now, with the much experience you have in leading, what would you say really makes a good leader?
It's a very interesting question because I'm back in school and I'm trying to finish my MBA, and I will. And one of the courses is leadership. And I remember that debate in class: are leaders born or they're made? I remember the debates. We all went through them, and I think if you've done leadership and training in that, it really leaves you questioning a lot of things around the concept of leadership. But in my personal journey, I have come to understand that, one, the leader that's in you or within you, that is born and comes with you as a package, always will come out eventually. And that's the true self, and that's the brand and the person that you are. Number one. Number two, when people look at you, do they perceive themselves as being in the presence of their leader? So you also need to understand the people. So leadership is not just about you. It's also about the people that are following you, because they need to genuinely believe that you can lead them to the promised land, and then they will follow you. But you genuinely must convince yourself that I am the leader and I can lead them. Because many times when you're not convinced yourself, you fight battles you shouldn't fight. You're rolling up your sleeve to prove to them. At that point, I then know that you're not convinced. You don't believe you are in the right seat. So we need to help you to understand that you are the leader, so that you get over the childish hurdles of trying to prove a point. Because when you know that you are the leader and the people behind you believe that there is a leader in front, you will lead and they will follow. And then there's a debate of leadership styles. I've always said that the true self of who you are comes out in leadership. So it's, many say, and I say it's biblical for me. What is within comes out when you lead. So if you're a compassionate, loving leader, if you're selfless, if you believe in people and you believe that your role as a leader is to bring the best out of people, it comes out. But if you're the type of leader that likes to use power, or you feel that leadership is people knowing that I'm there, it comes out. So in my years of leadership, my current boss now calls me the politician at a Swatini Mobile. He says, but you're really a politician. You just can't get away from it. Because I genuinely believe in moving with. I genuinely believe in team. I genuinely believe in consensus. I genuinely believe that even the one that is a detractor, when they understand the vision, they may be a detractor, but in my team, I find that it moves better and works better if I go with the team. So yes, there's different leadership styles, but all in all, I think you've got to find the style that you're comfortable with.
Yeah.
Because in leadership, what matters is consistency as well. Let your team know what you want and what you need to bring out of them. But above all, I will salute a leader that brings out the best in the people that work around them. So I genuinely was never uncomfortable working with older people, qualified people, people with 3 masters and PhD. You don't need to be threatened as a leader, because really my job is not to be an expert in everything. You cannot be. But if you surround yourself with experts, your job then as a leader is to make sure that everything works together and you just bring out the best in your people. And if you can do that, I think for me, you're the best leader.
You know, as you are saying that, Siswati sithi sathi ukuthi umuntu lomdvuna ngiyena lekufuna akhombe indlela. So you as a woman in leadership, what have been some of the challenges as far as that is concerned, you know, having to lead men?
Honestly, I will say at the beginning, I struggled a bit with it. I'm not going to say I nailed it at the beginning. I felt that I believed and almost used a bigger muscle when I came to dealing with the male counterparts that I worked with or led. I found that I had to put strain on myself too to bring it onto the table. But I think over years, I found that I worked better with men because one, I found that men will believe that you can deliver. And you kill the first Goliath, they will follow you. The petty things that we women go through as women on women dynamics, that's a different one altogether.
Yeah.
I found leading men to be easier because with them, give them respect, and there I was consistent. Just give them respect. You don't have to turn that and slow. They know. Just chill. So give them respect. They know you respect them as Bobabe because by nature and upbringing, you're right. They believe they should be in front. So it gives you no benefit and brings no benefit to your team. If the men look at you as the one that castrates them at the workplace and you make them feel lesser of the leaders they are. Because so one of the things I learned quickly was respect when dealing with the male counterparts in this country. I don't know in the US. I don't know in South Africa. But in this one is everything. You know, so that's the first one. But the second one, I then found that when you respect them and they believe that you're an equal partner, they will follow you, but you must prove that you can deliver. And thirdly, I found it easier to then start learning their language, not changing to lead like a man. I'm not a man. I'm a woman, and I lead like a woman. I'm compassionate. I want to hug. You cry, I come, I hug you. I'm that type of a leader. I would want to know your wife and your kids. That's how I operated. I want to send a dombolo to your wife and know her. But at the same time, but I then realized that building that rapport and relationship, it really helped. And it helped. And then quickly, I then stopped looking at myself as a woman leader because I think when you start looking at yourself as a woman leader, you feel that you're starting 10 steps behind a male leader. I had a minister when I was still in local government, and my peers at that time was the former Secretary Keb Mbanenkosi, and I was blessed to work with Mbanenkosi Mbuso. So every time people would address the minister and say, minister, he would pause and say, please remove Mag. Just say minister. It's okay. It doesn't change. Saying Mag. And the minute you quick saying, he would say, no, just feel comfortable, minister. Male or female, because the minute you start, you then get lost. So I quickly learned that from him, and I started just seeing myself as a leader, full stop. Because once I think female leader, saying him all the challenges, people will follow you if you know your business. And I think then I sort of quickly realized that people then followed. And it was lovely working with the team.
You know, your journey, as you explained it to us, I already sense that there have been quite a number of sacrifices.
There's been a lot.
What would you say as far as just success, the amount of sacrifice that needs to be there? I know we cannot put it in numbers or something.
No, true.
What would you say?
So one of the things I find myself saying to young people, and maybe backtracking a bit, is speaking to the generation we have and the crop of young people we have. It's unfortunate that we have groomed our kids to be instant generation kids. They believe in miracles now. I need to start now and be the CFO. I don't find that the few I've interacted with in terms of mentorship, the value of work before you get is not commonly known. I mean, when you talk to their parents, they will tell you, I don't think this generation would do that. When I was in high school, I used to work at pep stores. This generation, no. They're on PlayStation. So, and not maybe as parents, I think parenting is changing. When I look around, I think, wow, I'm mom would beat me.
My
dad, I don't So then you take these young people and bring them to the workplace, and they're starting and trying out careers. They're not comfortable and used to failure. They're not used to putting in the effort behind the scenes. They genuinely believe that I want it now. You even hear them saying, when I was CEO at 23. So maybe I always say that our stories won't be the same, but now I'm 40 years and above, and I look at my journey when I was 23. Oh my God, the sacrifices. I always say to people, I worked for 16 years and never rested. I started working when I was 23. When I woke up, it was when I left Matapa, and I was like, oh my God, I've been working. I don't remember having fun. I really don't,
16 years.
Yeah. Buying your first car, I don't remember going crazy with that car. I was always working. And I think I once posted and someone commented, I said, it's my designation that's old, not me, because I constantly had to remind people that I'm 26. Oh my God, allow me to be a 26-year-old. But the position didn't allow for that. So there were sacrifices that had to be made. I couldn't go out with my friends. I really couldn't dress as I wanted to. I was 26. I wasn't 40. But I couldn't. So at 23, I remember in Stegi, I got there and I studied the environment, and I realized that, okay, Goniwe as you are from Manzini will not work here. So let's change this up. I would wear nice long dresses. I never wore pants in Stegi, not even once, because I understood that the people in Stegi did not get it.
Yeah.
So I had to change who I am. I had to literally become older. I would do hairstyles that would add on years so that I look a little older and more dignified.
Yeah.
I really would go the extra mile because I understood that I needed to brand and package it so that they could accept it. So the sacrifices were many. Now that I am my age, I hear people sometimes say, you're like Stella that's got her groove back. And I say to people, oh my God, I didn't live for 16 years. And public office demands that of you. So there are sacrifices with everything. There's nothing that comes and if you really, really want it, you've got to sacrifice and work for it. If you think you can have your cake and eat it, you're not living a realistic life because everything has a sacrifice. As a leader, you're constantly learning. I mean, you're starting as a CEO and you had the head of finance, he's a chartered accountant, you've got an engineer who's a master's in engineering, you've got the public health who's a doctor, you have, these are reporting to you. Surely you are in class every day. You can't embarrass yourself.
You can't.
Because there's no CEO who's a master of all of that.
No.
Wherever you go, you go to any company, no CEO is a master of it all. Even if it's an engineering company and you are an engineer as a CEO, there's still facets of it you don't get. You don't know how to balance books. Someone must teach you that. So you're constantly in class because you've got to be able to bring the best out of them. You are learning engineering terms. When you finish, you are doing finance. When you're done, you need to understand the medical terms. When you are done, so there's really no life. It's sacrifices and sacrifices and sacrifices. But the pay out at the end is great. And yes.
With sacrifice, sometimes comes regret.
Yeah, true.
Any regrets?
Yes, one or two.
Yes, we love to hear those.
One or two.
We love to hear those.
And they came up recently. I was a friend of mine. Okay, a little sister of mine was turning 30, and one of those things I had to speak. So my take on it was the things I would have done differently if I was 21 or 30. I don't regret my journey. I really, really don't. And I now believe that God takes you through your journey. It's your journey. And wherever you are, you must find the purpose and the reason for being there. I think mine didn't start at 23 in Stegi. It started at Channel Swazi. And many people say, yeah, in that bridge here when you were waiting. And I'm like, no, years later, I now realize it was part of the journey. It was not me waiting to get a job in what I studied, because that's how I used to always explain it. But now I get it. It was really part of the journey. I would not, I tell you now, I would not have succeeded in Stegi or Matapa had I not started at Channel Swazi. I would not have. Because Channel Swazi knocked out all these Joburg vets, Americated, and it just landed me back to Mother Earth and made me remember that
welcome home.
you are still in Swaziland. When you go and interview a chief with your degrees, it doesn't matter. You kneel and you must know Siswati. Content and context was just knocked back into my life. The connections I got when I was still in media. I got to know, this is a PSC, and I learned direct. Oh, okay. Had the opportunity to go interview them. And voila, a year later, I'm now a CEO. Guess what comes handy? That 1 year. Nothing else. But I learned at Vets, I worked on it and I used it back end. But what got me to be able to be comfortable in that job was the 1 year. Because in my first few months, I had to call a PS. I did not panic. I'm interview a PS. So yes, my tummy was rumbling. So, oh my God, Michelle, a PS. But I was comfortable. Media taught me that. Yeah. So my regrets are not that many. But with regards to my career, I regret not having fun as I was going through it. I took myself too seriously. And maybe the job demanded that of me. But years later, you're sitting there and you're thinking, I didn't live. And I think living is going out with friends, going out and doing stuff, spending the little success and money you have. Fundiswam the other day, Bishop Gambule said, "Be happy." That's the bottom line. You know, when you're working hard and you don't sleep, the question is, what are you doing it for if you will not then enjoy it? Because life is short. So I only woke up recently, and I think you can see that I'm starting now to try and live and catch up. Yeah. Spend time with friends.
And I'm sure you are much happier now.
I was happy even then. I was a happy child. And I remain happy, yes, but I think it's levels. So the regret is not necessarily to say, oh my God, it's just to say, wow, if I get the chance to mentor other young people, I'll tell them live a bit. You know, if I was not working, I was studying. It just was that. It just was that. And some people then argue, maybe that's why you never got married. Good argument. I wouldn't. I disagree with them. No, I'm not going to go into that topic. But you could then say that is all because you need to then set aside time for play, time for social, because it's what replenishes you and grows you even better and even complements the brand you're trying to build.
Brand. Yes. That's where I'm getting to.
Okay, brand.
Brand. You are a brand. You mentioned that, I think, introduction. Now, I want us to look into that. So many people think that being a brand is just happens. What would you say are really some kind of steps towards branding yourself, like creating the brand that is you?
That is you.
Yeah.
Well, I like your comment that people genuinely believe that it happens inorganically. You are lucky if it does. You are blessed. And a few people have that. It's people that are born into it. Like you are born a prince or a princess. You're born with a title and a brand attached to you. You really find that. You really find. So most brands that grow to be big, you've got to work at it. It's not inorganic. It's organic. You've got to put effort to it. You've got to decide what brand I want to become. You've got to manage it. You've got to control it. You've got to grow it. You've got to align it to other brands. You've got to remain consistent in what you're trying to do. So if your brand is excellence, then stick to that script and try and be consistent in it. I mean, you look at brands like Coca-Cola. I always say to people, irrespective of where Coca-Cola is, whether you buy it emakhaya, fridge by ice, or whether you buy it right in the thick of things, a corporate place in Bougie, in Baban. When you open the Coca-Cola, consistency. It will go psss, and when you drink it, you'll get the same effect. So that's what consistency speaks of when you speak about a brand. So some people think that today it's this, today it's that. You've got to keep it consistent on all your social media platforms. platforms, in real life engagement, in applying, in CVs, in excellence, in what you do. Sorry. So for me, a brand is work. And the day you know that your brand has arrived is when people will now know your brand and headhunt you for that. I say to people, when you apply for a job, it's the brand and the product that you are that is applying. Because it's the same thing when we say let's tender for safety shoes. When I say I'll supply you with a Bova shoe, you're really selling the brand and what it can do. When I say buy a Mercedes or a BM, I'm basically speaking about the brand and what it is known for. So I say to people, it even matters, even if you're thinking, I mean, I don't have a company. When you apply for a job, it's the brand that's applying. Because we're going to check your track record, brand consistency. What are you posting on social media? Is it consistent with your brand? So you've got to find where you want to place your brand and the level and the how. I think my brand now, even as I sit now, it's executive, it's corporate.
Okay.
I'm hoping people are getting me. So you've got to think across all platforms, what people peak on Facebook, what people peak on Instagram, do what people peak on YouTube, and then what they meet you on the street and they see you singing in the praise team. Is that consistency? Because you sleep, you wake up. We should not doubt it. So I always say to people, I know my brand has arrived because when people talk, not in a negative way or a boastful way, the first thing I want that must come into your mind is the level of excellence I was portraying it wherever I was. Then you know, say brand. Because now the first question is, it's okay, it's a brand. That's where I want to be. So I need to keep it consistent. So suddenly, you know that the brand is growing. It is speaking for yourself. To the point that no matter but don't defend abantu. So it's really not about what they think anymore. It's the brand now speaking. So you need to get people to that point about your brand. And that's how you grow your brand. And it will then on its own have a character of its own and grow.
Okay.
So now enjoy your brand.
All right. Wow. You've really said a lot and really heavy stuff. In summary, how would you summarize everything we've talked about? Just a way to encourage someone who's watching, wherever they are.
I would encourage everybody to stand in front of the mirror and really accept that they are leaders. It doesn't matter what you're leading, whether it's a big company, a small company, a school, a church, you are just a leader. And then as a leader, people look up to you for guidance and you need to learn to bring the best out of them. So I found for me that the best way to do that is to know myself better. So as a brand and as a leader, I did my own SWOT analysis. You've got to know what your strengths are, your opportunities, what are your weaknesses, so that people don't tell you those, you know them and you find a way to deal with them so that you lead best, understanding who you are. You don't have to be someone different to be a leader. Just be brand you. Be consistent to who you are. Grow your brand organically. Don't let people grow it for you. And don't be scared to stop and correct what you don't like about your brand. Correct it. Spend time correcting it so that people understand the brand that you are. And in everything you do, make sure you multiply, because that is, in fact, what we should be doing. God blesses you and gives you what He gives you so that you grow and bless others to also be what they want to become.
Wow. Viewers, you heard it on JF.
Oh, yes.
Yes. Thank you so much, guys, for I'd say tuning in, watching, wherever you are, and thank you for coming.
Thank you.
It's truly an honor. I am very, very sure that we'll be having you again soon. Well, this is your home now.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
So thank you so much, viewers, wherever you are. We say good morning, good afternoon, good night, whatever time you'll be watching this. Stay blessed, stay happy, subscribe, like, and share. As we say, JF, add more flavor. You try that. JF?
JF, add more flavor.
Yeah.
Okay.
Do it there. Let's see.
Okay. JF with the hands like you.
Yeah.
Add more flavor. Okay.
Thank you guys. Goodbye.